أهلا بكم مشاهدينا في هذا اللقاء الخاص مع المنتج والمخرج والناشط الأميركي أندرسن. أندرسن كتب وأخرج الفيلم القصير اللاجئ عام 2019 وتم إدراجه في القائمة القصيرة لجوائز الأوسكار في عام 2020. أنتج وأخرج أندرسن مجموعة من الأفلام السينمائية لأشهر الممثلين في هوليوود، ورشحت أفلامه أيضا لجوائز عالمية وحصدت العديد من الجوائز، ولقيت أيضا أفلامه شعبية واسعة حول العالم. ساهم أندرسن بشكل ملحوظ في الجهود الإنسانية لقضايا مختلفة والتي ترتكز بشكل خاص على مساعدة اللاجئين. في عام 2021 أسس ريل فاونديشن مع الناشطة الإنسانية دينا براير، وتعنى هذه المؤسسة بتسخير قوة الفن والإبداع وسرد القصص أيضا لتمكين اللاجئين من سرد قصصهم، خاصة هؤلاء الموجودين في المجتمعات المهمشة، وطبعا إنشاء حوار لهؤلاء الأشخاص والمشاركة أيضا ما بين المشاهدين والمشاركين لتعميق الفهم حول هذه القضية. كتب وأخرج أندرسن مؤخرا فيلم قضية الغرباء، والتي تروي أحداث درامية لمأساة عائلة سورية في حلب، وتبدأ سلسلة طبعا من الأحداث وردود الأفعال ما بين عائلات 5 عائلات موجودة في 4 دول مختلفة. من خلال متابعتي وقراءتي لحياتك ومسيرتك المهنية لاحظت شيئين مهمين أو عنصرين مهمين. العنصر الأول أنه كل المشاريع التي قمت بها حازت على نجاح باهر، وكل مشروع كان مرتبط بشكل أو بآخر بقضية إنسانية تهم المجتمع أو تهم الإنسانية. ما العلاقة بين العنصرين؟
That's a good question. I think in everything I do, I'm trying to find the truth. I'm trying to find my truth first of all, and then the truth of whatever it is I'm working in at the time. And my truth is I care deeply about people, and I'll do anything to help people who are in need. I think that's the primary reason for trying to mix what I do professionally with what I do for my heart.
في 2009 بدأت زياراتك لمخيمات اللاجئين. من خلال هذه الزيارة ما الذي تغير بالنسبة لك، إن كان من ناحية رؤيتك لهذه القضية، وكيف هي الحياة في هذه المخيمات؟
You know, when I go to a camp, I'm visiting, so I can only tell you my experience of being with people in refugee camps. Refugees have touched me in a way that other people haven't, and that's a generalization, but when I see what refugees have gone through to get to where they are in those camps, it's remarkable stories of courage and love and overcoming difficulties. It's those stories, you almost can't go somewhere where there are more stories of just the amazingness of the human spirit than in a refugee camp. And so, you know, so I've spent a lot of years visiting them to see how can I help? Like what can I do? What could I add to this story to highlight things so that, you know, so that we can try to avoid this in the future. I don't want this.
هل برأيك كانوا يعتبروك جزء من المشكلة، أم أنت كنت أمل بالنسبة لهم أن يصبح صوتهم مسموع؟
That's a very good question. I mean, I want to say you'd have to ask them, but I hope they see me as a friend. I hope they see me as someone who's not so different from them. Maybe our skin colors are different. Maybe they were raised Muslim and I was raised Christian. Maybe we like different types of food, but you know, at our core, I believe again we are so similar. I want love. I want my children to be safe. Like, we are not very different, and so I think we focus on the similarities. I've never gone to a camp and not laughed with people. I love to laugh, and that's that's not unique to refugee camps, but it just always happens. You know, there's always children laughing or playing. Like, those are things that I do anywhere, and that doesn't change when I get to a refugee camp or even a place where people are, you know, a war zone where people are not well. You know, people live their lives. They find different ways to live their lives. It never changes.
كنت قد تحدثت مسبقا أنه أكثر الناس الملهمين في حياتك قابلتهم في المخيم، وأن تأثيرهم على حياتك كان أكبر بكثير من تأثيرك على حياتهم. كيف؟
Well, as a white American, I come from a group of oppressors. There's no denying that. I hope that after spending minutes with me, they realize I'm there to help because I love, and I'll do anything to help. So, you know, it just so happens that my strengths come in telling stories. So when I hear those stories and I feel those stories in my heart, I can tell those stories in a way that I feel will mean something to others. That may be to a group that's just like me, who are a group of traditionally white oppressors. But I don't feel that that because I look this way or because I don't feel that
Not being judged, you mean?
Yeah, I don't feel judged. I've never felt judged. Not once. I've never felt judged being in a refugee camp. And I mean, generally I feel that I'm met with hugs and smiles. I mean,
هل هذا يعني أن لديك رسالة معينة تحاول أن توصلها للعالم الغربي بشكل أساسي؟ وكيف سيكون ذلك؟
Okay, well, I look at my life over since I've gone to refugee camps, since I started going, or more than refugee camps, even, you know, like visiting Syria or visiting other areas that are under siege. Yeah. My life ends up being enriched by hearing of bravery that these people have gone through and seeing how much they love each other. You know, in my most recent film, like, what I'm tackling is the Syrian refugee crisis, but it's essentially a love story, because what comes out of this in my heart is I see how, despite everything that takes place, they still love. And in some cases, like, I would say in most cases, they love so richly that it's been an example for me that I need to go back and love more. And so, you know, we, especially in America, we hate stereotypes right now.
Now?
Right now, we are really against stereotypes.
What made it different?
Well, I think it's just the time that we're in. We hate stereotypes, I think, particularly because most of the stereotypes about America right now are not good. And we've earned a lot of that. But if I can stereotype the Syrian refugees that I've met, they're some of the best people I've ever met. And they have this, like, one of the things that struck me early on was they have this difference in philosophy from what I grew up with in America. In America, you grow up with this idea that we would do anything for our children. You know, we will kill for our children if we have to protect them. Even if that means sometimes hurting someone else. Well, the refugees, particularly Syrians that I've spent time with, they'll do anything for their children, but not if it hurts you. So they won't hurt you to help their children. And I found that so beautiful that here, of course, they love their kids as much as I love my kids. They want good for them, but their hearts will not allow them to harm others in the service of their children. And I think that's a beautiful stereotype that I hope people will understand from seeing my film or certainly talking to me.
وما هو الشرط الأساسي حتى يكون هناك تغيير نحو الأفضل؟
So I think that the message that I'm trying to share is for both parts of the world. It's maybe a different message in this part of the world than it is in the West, but there's still a message for both sides of the world in this, and that message has to be taken by you individually. You know, you can watch my film, or you can hear the things that I'm saying, or see what I do, and judge for yourself, how does that make you feel, and I hope it will help make you want to make changes, because we can always change for the better. Like I keep trying to change for the better.
هناك أطراف أيضا يعني روجت وجردت العرب من إنسانيتهم، لا سيما هذا ما يفسر ما يحدث الآن في غزة وتعاطيهم مع هذه القضية بشكل أساسي. ما رأيك؟
So I don't know if I'm qualified to speak for everyone in the West. I can speak for myself and say, when I saw what was happening, when I saw what happened on October 7th, I was sad for what happened. When I saw what happened on October 8th, I was sad for what happened. And every day since October 8th, I've been sad. And so I try to do what I can do, which is, you know, I'll tell a story as long as people will listen.
أي جزء من القصة هو منقوص اليوم؟ وهل اكتمال هذا الشيء من الممكن أن يلعب دور أساسي فيما يحدث اليوم على المستوى الشعبي في الغرب؟
I believe that change happens with the people, and when the people aren't happy with what's taking place, when they become unhappy enough, changes happen. I'm not political. I am not a voice for America. I'm not in a position to be those things, and nor am I looking for that. I strictly want to give voice to those who are suffering, to the people who are suffering. That's who I care about, and you know, that is not determined for me based on race or hair color or anything. And as I look at this right now, the people in Gaza are suffering tremendously. And it is, if I can help for it to stop, I want it to stop. My deepest hope is that it will stop.
أنت كنت في زيارة إلى الضفة الغربية مؤخرا، كيف تصف الوضع الإنساني هناك؟
Yeah, the conditions in the West Bank are very difficult right now. Very difficult.
كيف ممكن أن تصفه بصورة أكبر؟
The West Bank right now, I would categorize as a place where people are very scared. Israelis are scared. Palestinians are scared. And on the political front, you know, there are little gains, but they're very small gains. And, you know, this didn't start on October 7th. It started long before that. But at some point, someone has to put down the guns. Someone has to. And, you know, every day I hope for a ceasefire. Every day I read the stories of the people suffering. I see the images of people suffering.
أنت كنت في مرافقة سلاح الجو الملكي في عملية الإنزال للمساعدات على قطاع غزة مؤخرا. كيف كانت هذه التجربة؟ يعني كيف هو الشعور وما هي الأفكار التي راودتك عندما كنت في سماء غزة تحديدا؟
I was, that came together very quickly, but I was very emotional. Like, I felt very emotional. One, you heard my takeaways. I mean, my big takeaway was I need to do more. I don't know everything that I can do, but I know I need to do more. It was shortly after that I went to the West Bank to see if there was anything I could do there. You know, I started a foundation that is specifically meant to give voices to those who are in a minority. But I was very proud to be with them. I was very proud to be on that, and I was very proud to be on that plane, doing what little I could do to tell the story both of those who were trying to help and also those who are below, because the story of helping people is a story of those who help and also those who need help. And it enriches both lives. So I could see the pride on the faces of the Jordanian Royal Air Force who I accompanied. They were so proud of what they were doing, and that was so moving to me. It was so moving because here are men who, they're trained to fight, and, you know, if called upon, they'll fight, but acting in a humanitarian nature, they're so proud to help those people that they love. I mean, it was completely genuine.
هل أحسست بأي خطر وأنت في الأعلى؟
Yes, I felt in danger. You're flying over a war zone. A lot can happen. There's a lot out of the control of both the Air Force and a lot out of my control. I trusted the people I went with, and I felt like it was the right thing, even if there was danger involved.
كنت قد تحدثت مسبقا أننا في لحظات مهمة وتاريخية نمر بها. أولا، ما هي هذه اللحظات برأيك؟ ومن نحن؟ إلى من تشير هنا؟
On the second question, so we're in a defining moment. Who is us? Us is everyone. That's us as Americans, you as Jordanians, Arabs in general, Jews, Israelis. It's everyone that cares about people. And fundamentally, at our core, I believe we care about people. Sometimes we have to be reminded why. And unfortunately, so often, it takes a moment of others' suffering to be reminded why we are human. And as a human being, I don't see any difference between the fact that you are one thing and I'm another. You're a man, I'm a woman. You're a woman, I'm a man. It does not matter. To me, I believe these fundamental elements, this thread that connects us as people, this runs through our lives on a daily basis. Have you ever traveled across the world, met someone who knew the neighborhood that you grew up in? And what a connection you spend with that person. That happened to me today. I met a woman today who grew up in my same neighborhood. And we had an immediate connection. That was unexpected. It was beautiful. And we found this immediate common ground. That is what we need to do as people. And if we can find the common ground between us, we'll find common reasons why we should get along. And we should look for those reasons, not try to find reasons to fight.
أنت كنت جزء من المهمة، وهي مهمة ليست سهلة أبداً.
I think I look at what's happening in Gaza at the moment, and I believe it is a defining moment of our humanity. You can't stand by and watch suffering and go about your daily life. I can't do that. And there's a lot of suffering in Gaza at the moment.
كنا قد تحدثنا أنك أنتجت مؤخراً فيلم اسمه قصة الغرباء أو Strangers Case. وهذه القصة تحكي عن مأساة عائلة سورية تعيش في حلب، وبالتأكيد هناك الكثير من الأحداث التي تفاعل فيها مع عائلات أخرى موجودة في مناطق أخرى. في البداية، ما هو الشيء المختلف في هذا الفيلم في تناولها لفكرة النزوح من ناحية المبدأ؟
So, The Stranger's Case is this film that I wrote about 8 years ago now, as I was visiting refugee camps in Jordan and Turkey and Greece. And it's really a love story. And what is different about it, I mean, I've tried to be completely real in every way that I've told this story. I insisted on coming to Jordan to shoot it because I had such good experiences in the country here with the way that Syrians were treated, and also the living conditions that they had. When I saw how they were treated here versus other places, you know, refugees are in a very tough situation no matter where they are. It's not ideal for them, but they were in better accommodations here. They were better looked after here than they were in other places. And I wanted to try to give back something to say thank you for the way that people were being treated here. And I knew that because of the large population of refugees here, I could actually put and have Syrians in the film, and it was important to me to be as true as possible to the story.
برأيك ما الأثر الذي سيتركه هذا الفيلم عند المشاهد بعد أن ينتهي؟
Well, I hope the audience will leave with greater love for the Syrian people. I mean, this film is a love letter to people that I love, and that's Syrians, Arabs. These are people that I care deeply about, and who've made my life richer. And I hope the takeaway is that, like, if we can show more love, if we reach out to those who need, maybe we'll see things a little differently. And you know, the whole premise of the film is showing, if you think you see something one way, but maybe take another look. Like, try to look for a different truth and see where that leads.
قمت بتأسيس ريل فاونديشن في محاولة لتسخير دور الإبداع والفن لتمكين اللاجئين والمجتمعات المهمشة من سرد قصصها ويعني أن توصل صوتها للعالم، إن كان من خلال هذه المشاركة التي من الممكن أن تساعد في فهم أكبر لقصصهم ولقضاياهم. هل هناك فارق كبير بمن يروي القصة؟
So the question is does it make a difference who tells the story? Yeah. So let me answer the first one first. So I founded the Real Foundation so that marginalized voices, so people who are not the majority group, can have a vehicle to tell their stories. Mm-hmm. Good storytelling is not exclusive to any one group of people. And what I found through doing, for example, I did a film camp here in Azraq years ago, and what I found was there are these amazing voices who have an ability to tell heartwarming stories, and they sometimes just need a little extra chance. So the Real Foundation is set up to help them. Does it matter who tells the story? I think it does matter who tells the story. And I think there's a time and a place for everyone to tell a story that is affecting them in some way. In this situation, like, there are Syrian voices that have done an amazing job telling the Syrian story. I'm not Syrian, but I feel very connected to Syria. And the thing that I can say is this: I can't tell you why my heart tells me to tell this story. I don't know all the reasons. I don't know why I feel so connected to Jordan. I don't know why I feel so connected to Syria. I don't know why I feel so connected to many places. But if I'm being true to myself, which I intend to do, then I tell the story that comes to me in the way that it comes to me. And I feel drawn to this side of the world, and so I'll keep telling these stories as long as they'll let me.
اليوم المشاهد التي نشاهدها على مواقع التواصل الاجتماعي هي مشاهد دامية ولكنها حقيقية تصل إلى كل العالم. كيف من الممكن الفن اليوم أن ينافس مشاهد بهذه القسوة، خاصة أنه تلك مشاهد حقيقية والفن هو تمثيل؟
So social media has a very interesting influence now on the world. I think some of these images that we're seeing are, I saw an image yesterday and I felt if I saw that image in a film, I would not have believed it was real. And yet it was a real image coming out of Gaza. I think it has changed our perspective on life, in some ways for good, in some ways not. I hope that primarily it allows the people to have a more immediate voice so that we can make changes faster. That didn't happen in Syria. We didn't make changes in Syria. Syria is still playing out. And in Gaza, you know, time will tell. But every day that goes by, you know, I wonder what is the real benefit of these images, because we're not making the changes we need to make. Yeah. So I hope it does mean we make changes. I hope that's what it's.
Do you think art will make a change?
I believe art can change people's hearts. It did me as a child all the time. I felt like I was raised on good art. it made me feel things, understand people that I wouldn't have otherwise understood or connected to. So yes, I believe that deeply as an artist. I feel that so deeply to my core, I can't deny it. But, you know, words are weapons. And, you know, we need to fight those weapons we need to fight bad words with good words that will hopefully help us turn those weapons into love, you know. I know that's a very optimistic point of view and may come off as naive, but I'm not naive to what's going on, and I believe we can be the change here. We can be the change that we need to see happen.
في النهاية أحب أن أسألك ما هي أكثر القصص من خلال مشاركتك في العديد من النشاطات التي تخص هذه المؤسسة إن كان في الأردن أو حتى في مخيمات اللاجئين، أكثر القصص التي أثرت بك بشكل شخصي؟
Yeah, well, like I'll tell you a great story. Yeah. So when we came and did the film here, we looked for some specific people who we could mentor. And one woman that we found is a woman who was in a refugee camp, and she had this immense interest in being involved in the makeup related to films. And so we brought her on as part of our program, and she is now working on films she's worked on a bunch of the films that have come through here, including like SEAL Team, John Wick. Like, she is very, very talented. And she got her start with us. So, like, she's telling stories through doing makeup. And very talented woman. And in her case, in several other cases that I can think of specifically, we opened the door for them, and then they've far surpassed what anyone thought. And people should have the right to live in peace. People should have the right to live in peace. I agree. Everyone should. I hope. Inshallah.
Thank you so much.
Okay.